Greetings and balance, everyone. This is Metaphysic Speaks in the Spirit with Dr. Delbert Blair, and this is your host, Tony. I hope everyone is doing well since our last Tuesday show. A few tidbits of information. Currently, deep discount coupon for podcast listeners only is now active. For podcast listeners, you of course have a special coupon, and that is Podcast 2019. That is Podcast 2019, which will give you 21% off plus free shipping on any size order. This coupon code will end Sunday, December 1st. Coming soon, you will find a short post on the Medicine website, which will give a bit of insight into the year 2020, so stay in tune for that. So without further delay, I hope that you have your favorite beverage of choice while we have our conversation. My beverage tonight is a smoothie. It has pineapples, peaches, strawberries, and the liquid is some fresh organic apple juice with ice cold distilled water. Absolutely refreshing, energizing, and delicious. The show tonight will be as long as it needs to get the point across. The title of tonight's show is called Compression and its Counter Expansion. Neither is a positive nor a negative. And what this is dealing with is our compressed reality that many of us are within in one way or another, every day, all day. The problem is, if a problem exists, that is not understanding which you are in, so you know how to operate accordingly. So this can be taken somewhat as a manual, a short guide to the North American zones on planet Earth. We will focus primarily on the United States and South America. The United States itself could be looked at as a compression zone. Let us define compression via Google's dictionary, and it states compression is the action of compressing or being compressed, the reduction in volume causing an increase in pressure of the fuel mixture in an internal combustion engine before ignition. As many have heard in one way or another, that pressure can burst pipes or make diamonds. When one observes certain bacteria under a microscope, when they are put into compression, they tend to start to move faster, building colonies quicker than before, as if in a rushed state. These microbial processes are all put in drive and the pedal is pressed down to the floor. In our dimension, our reality here in the United States, because this continent is under compression, people, especially in the past, used to come here from all over the world to increase their current state or status in life, to better themselves. In most cases, this was financially. They could come here and in a relatively short period of time, against all odds, change the direction of their financial state forever. The compression allowed them to move much faster, which provided more opportunities within that faster movement, which may not even have been realized from whence they came. Their families are able to live out what seems like a dream-like existence, watching within short periods of time, even their children growing to adulthood and achieving even more. This would be a positive in compression. As with love, when people love, they love intensely, deeply. And it can even go so far into it that they become lost in a good way. If the sequences in positive change are made correctly and in proper order, harmonious vibrations could easily take hold and move through the population, bringing most into balance. So what would be a negative? Well, as mentioned previously, everything is under pressure. Everything is moving faster. This includes everything from anger, violence, gluttonous thoughts and actions, even hatred. People get angry and go from 0 to 100 sometimes within a blink of an eye. And in this blink of an eye, they either will cause physical harm or go off to conspire to cause harm later. Decisions within compression are made much quicker. And many find themselves within circumstances where they have to make a choice immediately, or an opportunity may be lost forever. Everything within compression is exacerbated and pushed to its extreme, whether for positive or negative. This extreme will either make a diamond or burst a pipe. Just as in the aforementioned positive example concerning the sequences of positive change, the same in reverse can be made for negative. For example, because many watch TV and believe all that they see, when a news anchor states that it is this group causing all the problems, or that group over there, or people with long beards, or people with darker skin, guess what happens? Whatever ideological difference has been pinned as the conspirer in the center of the sequence, then everyone focuses on that, and it sweeps through the nation quicker than a blink of an eye. Compression. In compression, there is no time to relax. You are always on the go. And even when relaxing, you are still on the move, whether this be physically, emotionally, or mentally. In compression, everything moves faster, which includes time. Are you keeping track? Being stagnant within compression zone means you will most definitely fall behind sooner or later. Gatekeepers in many cases are people trying to stop the progress of time, wanting to keep things the same a bit longer so they can pull a bit more from it. Sometimes this is a positive act, but in most cases they are only wasting everyone else's time in the form of progress. An example of progress within this time and space is concerning Dr. Deborah Blair and I. He knew something that only a few of you know about me, and in that knowledge he knew that the next step in progress could be made. A part of that is the superhuman classes held now all over the country, where we dive deep into the universe, the matrix, and most importantly, the self. Yourself, myself, ourselves. An example of potential stagnation is what occurred at Superhuman Training Session 2. An elder stated to me, I thought this was going to be like Dr. Deborah Blair's lectures. I asked, what do you mean? She stated, well, I like to sit back and just listen without needing to do anything, and having some of the things Dr. Blair spoke of explained again. I then stated, I understand, and that is okay, but the next step in the progress of humanity physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually is going to require you, me, all of us to progress and do earnest work within self. And that work may be difficult at times, but if one requires that previous subjects be rehashed, then they should go back and review previous lectures. All in all, she understood, but she did not want to take that next step, which has internal work required to raise her vibrations higher. And that is totally okay. It required her to truly understand, and overstand what has come before and score at least an 80% on this multi-dimensional test. Because the next steps are going to touch on new topics that address concerns and energy in the new age, which Dr. Deborah Blair spoke on many times. He was, in his way, preparing humanity, those who will listen for this next step. And as that next step is engaged, I'm now giving them a unique view which hasn't come before, showing proof that even though I also live a human experience, what does an awakening being do during his or her life? Superhumans, extraordinary men, women, and children across the world stand up. The universe has took notice. For others, if you have watched all the historical lectures, broken all the codes of the universe, but do not want to step further into the innerverse, guess what? That is totally okay. Just as there's nothing wrong with the elder knowing the level she'd rather stay at. But in that, unless she does the bare minimum to stay equal within compression, she will undoubtedly fall behind and potentially into hard times. In compression, you have to keep moving. Within the United States, the highest compression zones would be the northern states, and the slowest compression zones would be the southern. Because of this, many in the north have stereotypes of those in the south, which many have heard of, that southerners are slow in action, speech, and thought, while southerners have stereotypes of northerners, stating they talk and move too fast, can't be trusted, and a bit shrewd. These stereotypes exist for a reason, and they are exposing an underlying truth about the reality we live in. Just a side note, before we get into expansion realities, compression realities could be looked at as the air kingdoms, while expansion realities could be looked at as the earth kingdoms. Hence why in the current compression places you will find higher technology, and in the expansion places you will find those who live closer to the ways of the earth. Also, if compression is getting to you and you need a bit of help, the best advice I can give for those in compression is to get ahead, is to look into communal living. Ethnicities all over the world come here and do just that, as long as it takes until the individual is able to easily live on his or her own without any issue. Many in compression turn into parasites as well, feeding on others and taking from everyone and everything, as if a vampire of sorts, feeding on the blood of its hosts. The reason for this is because they couldn't keep up with compression, fell back or began to fall back, and so their energy inverts. The tesseract, that hyperdimensional cube that produces the massive amount of energy within a human that allows a human to pick up a 2-ton car with one hand under stress, falls back on itself, causing a black hole of sorts, an emptiness that forever needs to be filled. Expansion. South America itself could be looked at as an expansion zone. Let us define expansion via Google's dictionary. And it states expansion is a thing formed by the enlargement, broadening, or development of something. Is it not, again, interesting how the definition indeed contradicts the reality in which it is set? Expand on forth and conquer all, and put what you see under thy's dominion. This was a quote from some old guy in the air kingdom looking to rule over that which was beneath. The expansion kingdoms of South America, the earth kingdoms in which the people typically live a perceived slower existence compared to their compressed counterparts. Typically, the people, practices, and technologies are more aligned with the way the energy flows in these places versus making the place flow to you. If you were born in expansion, your life was filled with outdoor activities, lots of exercise, and being fine-tuned by the kingdom of earth. Your ways and values will be grounded within the realism of the reality around you. Typically, those in expansion understand and appreciate the Great Mother, even if it's symbolically, because they know where their food derives, and if they abuse her, she will not bring forth what is needed as nourishment. Unlike some who dwell within the air kingdoms, always within their minds, tinkering and creating new toys to be deployed. The people in expansion, the strongest of them, tending to be as strong and resilient as the ground they have walked on all of their life, and equally as proud. Just ask those who were trained within the great rite of the jaguar. Songs are still sang this day in remembrance of those who were the children of the Great Mother and embodied her spirit to keep away all that were not welcome. But just as in the air kingdom, which is the worlds of compression, all is not positive nor negative. It is just the state of the current energy around us. This energy is based on a few factors. One being the current continents that are visible and not underwater. Even if you take into consideration that the great continent, mythically known as Pangea, was broken and spread over the waters, our current continent of North America has parts of her underwater. These underwater parts could indeed bring a bit more balance to these lands, if they weren't submerged, deadening their energetic signatures. Many in compression venture to live within expansion when they get older in age. The reason for this is because with the coins they have gathered over their lifetime, they are able to go much further. Life is much slower. They don't have to think all day, every day, what their next move will be, or be bombarded with the ongoings of air kingdom politics. They can sit outside of their beach house all day until the sun sets. But as one could expect, as more compressionists arrive, they change ever more slightly the energy of a given area, changing it into just another city of compression set within the background of expansion. From the ever more businesses to the regulations and everything needing to be licensed. We need internet and cellular service. An air kingdom resident yells from within the crowd. And so comes the bulldozers, airplanes, cell phone towers, fine dining. And this is all plotted out with the clearing of the ancient forest, the jaguar's home, pushing him further back into his sacred lands, ever watched over in silence, waiting for a reply from Quetzalcoatl. Many from compressed realities have for decades been flocking to Panama, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and many other cities and countries, slowly carving out a distinct way of life for Air Kingdom residents. Why not though? Air Kingdom's coins are worth much, much more. You will find many more compression zone citizens within expansion zones than expansion zone citizens within compression zones. For many, the fast-paced lifestyle, the shrewdness, the mental games, the technology, the electromagnetic frequencies, and so on and so forth becomes too much for these Earth Kingdom citizens. And even if they stay in the compression zone for financial reasons, once goals are met, they find their way back home. You will also find that many from compression flock to the expansion to take advantage of those within Earth Kingdoms, since Air Kingdom citizens tend to think faster and move quicker than their Earth Kingdom counterparts. This is utilized to their advantage to create cults and other types of massive following. To those from the Earth Kingdoms, God came down from the heaven and taught them new ways, both good and evil, and they were changed forevermore. When this is all said and done in the current energy flow, use this as a small guide so you can dwell where you need to accomplish whatever it is in your heart. Both kingdoms have pros to some, while cons to others, and this is okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. I'll open the lines for a moment for any comments or questions. Hit 1 on your keypad if there's anything you would like to share. Going once. Anything you would like to share? Going twice.